he's someone I look up to as far as when it comes to discipline. So here's a quote by him to get us started with goal setting and building discipline. Goals are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. So having goals is super important for us all. I think that's pretty intuitive. Most of us know that. Unfortunately, most of us set goals, yet we have no systems to get us to those goals. They're just distant dreams that may never come to reality because we don't implement the strategies to reach them. And even if we do, oftentimes they're not developed in the right ways, and we don't have, and even if they are, we don't, or we may not have the discipline to continue down the right strategy to achieve those goals. So we're going to be talking about that and setting clear, specific goals gives direction and purpose to your efforts. Well-defined goals serve as a roadmap for where you want to go, helping to channel your discipline effectively. And that last point I have here, helping to channel your discipline effectively, is super important because oftentimes I'll see people who they have this big goal of starting a business or whatever it is, and like, okay, I'm going to wake up every morning at 4 a.m. and I'm going to go work out. Yeah, I agree, that's really good, but oftentimes we can find more effective ways to channel our discipline. To say, is it necessary for me to wake up at 4 a.m. or is that disrupting my sleep? Is it better for me to wake up at 6, delay my workout a little bit, and have a study block from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. of diligent hard work without any distractions, and then I'll get on with the other things of my day? These are just examples. Everything we do is it's costly in one manner or another. So I think time is our most valuable resource. And so even if you become an extremely disciplined person, we have to be sure that we are effectively managing that time. And just, again, it's just a better way to think about how to divert your discipline and your efforts. So talking about how to start realistic goals is oftentimes, I'm sure you've heard of them, SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals. It's a proven method of coming up with some sustainable goals for yourself. So, for example, if you guys are trying to improve your physical health, you could say, I will exercise for 30 minutes, 5 days a week for the next month. All of that falls into the SMART goal categories. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to your exercise goals, and it's time bound within the month, within 5 days a week, and 30 minutes, so on and so forth. Again, I'm going to keep this lesson quick and concise for you guys so you can take actionable skills and apply them to your daily life. But so when I move through these points quickly, just be sure to retain some of it. What we're talking about here is goal setting. The next point I have is habit formation. And for me, this is by far, I would say it's not by far the best method for developing discipline, but it helps me tremendously when it comes to maintaining consistent discipline. And that's what the goal is, right? Discipline isn't this, thing that you obtain and you no longer have to work on. It's a daily and hourly, it's a moment by moment uh, achievement that we have to strive to and choose. And it's a hard choice to make. So if you guys haven't read the book, Atomic Habits, I gained tremendous insight and knowledge from reading that book by James Clear. He's super well known. You guys have probably heard of the book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend. But you guys may have heard this quote as well. But I think it is so important for most of us who don't understand the significance of what he says. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. It's pretty straightforward. So when you think about that, I'll say it again. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So you think about at a track meet, there's 8 sprinters on the line. Every single one of those sprinters has the same goal, to win the race. Not all 8 of them are rising to that goal that they have. Only one of them is. And the reason being is because they're not rising to this goal, they're falling back to the disciplines that they instilled in their systems. So how did they set up their daily life to achieve this goal of theirs? And so it's pretty straightforward, though many of us forget that. Many of us may not even have that insight yet. So I find that quote to be so relevant today. And I think that will persevere throughout history. I don't know of how that wouldn't, the I don't know. I don't want to oversell that, but that is so crucial to understand that you will fall to the level of your systems. You're not going to rise to your goals. The discipline is often about the small, consistent actions you take daily. It's not these big, huge displays of hard work that, the end of a marathon or reaching your PR in the gym that you've been striving for the last 6 months. It is a daily choice of true self love. And it's to prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your superficial wants right now, to put forward your future rather than what you want right now. And most of the time, the things we want right now are these small dopamine hits that really have no significant value to bring to our lives or the lives of people around us, to our communities. And I think that's important to understand that, like, it's these small habits that we form that really do play a huge difference in how we obtain discipline. So again, it's a daily choice of true self-love to instill discipline in yourself. So this is why habits are so important. And the reason being is because they automate the discipline by reducing the need to make all of these um, decisions throughout the day. If you form a habit of working out every day, you don't have to think about, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to fit it into my schedule. Oh shoot, I ate just before the gym, or I didn't eat enough before the gym, or I don't have my gym clothes ready. If you form that small habit of, maybe it's you're going for a jog every day, that's your goal that you set out to strive for, just put your workout clothes right by the door or right by the edge of your bed. And so that way there's these cues in place to help you reach your goals. So the discipline aspect of it becomes easier and easier for yourself to obtain. If your running shoes are tucked away in the closet, none of your stuff is washed, and you're not really paying attention to what you eat and when you eat it, and you don't fit it into your schedule, all these decisions become overwhelming, and oftentimes they lead to the degradation of your goal, that you're never going to reach it. But make these things easy for yourself and your goals will fall into place. So focus on the small cues, guys. It is, like I said, it's these daily choices that really make a difference. These systems that you put into place, those are what you're going to fall back on. You're not going to rise to these level of your goals. Moving on to implementation with your habit formation. So start small with manageable habits that align with your goals. So for example, if your goal is to improve fitness, begin with the habit of a 10-minute walk after lunch every day. Pretty straightforward. It's not hard to do. And you can use cues like I was talking about, like putting a sticky note at the bottom of your lunch that says, take a walk. Or set a reminder for yourself. If you take lunch every day at 12 o'clock, you're done at 12:30. Set a reminder on your phone for 12:20 to take a 10-minute walk. Like, these small cues will make a tremendous difference. And you may be asking yourself, like, maybe that's not a goal of mine. I mean, these are examples, folks. I'm encouraging you. I probably couldn't encourage you more. It is so important for you to set goals for yourself and to have the systems in place in your life to achieve those goals. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life? The one precious and sweet life that we have, are we just riding it till the time runs out? Or are we trying to achieve something that truly is significant to your heart and fulfills your purpose here? That is the goal behind this whole talk of discipline, these 4 weeks that I have set out for us to talk just about how to improve your discipline. And it not only relates to your trading, but outside of that, something bigger is where is the fulfillment in your life coming from? Most of the time, I know for me and I know for most people that I talk to, it's from doing the hard things in life. It's not from like the easy thing for me to do. Like if I were to run risk management and psychology and wellness classes, where would be to go grab some stuff offline, copy and paste it, and put it into a lesson, and then send you guys out a PDF on Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. For me, none of that is fulfilling. For me, it is going and finding all this science backed information and formatting it in a place where I can read it effectively. I learn from this information and I can distribute it to you guys because it's important. It like this stuff is the essence of life. Without discipline, without these goals that we set for ourselves, we are truly setting ourselves up for a miserable life. And I don't say that lightly. Like when I talk about setting yourself up for a miserable life, you may not realize it till you're 50 and you look back, or you're 60 or you're 70 and you look back, if we're blessed to make it that far. You say, what have I done with my life? I mean, I worked a job that didn't fulfill me. I was in relationships that never meant a lot to me. I never really spoke out my heart, and I never accomplished the goals that I had when I was a child. And I know this stuff, it's not easy. These aren't superficial talks, guys. I mean, this stuff matters. And if we do not form the discipline to chase after these goals and aspirations, these fulfillments in our life, what's the point? I mean, that stuff is so important. And that's why, like, when I make these lessons, they are science backed, proven methods to help improve all these things that I'm talking about. In today's lesson, psychology, these techniques for building discipline, like this stuff matters. So I encourage you guys to set these goals, to set these habits. And next, we're going to talk about time management. This stuff's super important. And along with habit formation, I would say time management is, I don't know, maybe these all are kind of a tripod to what we're talking about, this discipline thing. If you are really good at goal setting and habit formation, but your time management is all out of whack, you're not going to be able to properly or efficiently use that discipline to achieve those goals ultimately. So these things are all highly important. So when it comes to time management, I put in a quote here from Stephen Covey. He's the author of Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. That is, he's a well-known public figure. He says the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And I know that sounds pretty straightforward. It's simple, but truly, this has helped me tremendously by blocking out my time for what matters to me. So for me right now, I'm trying to learn the guitar. So I have at least 15 minutes a day blocked out in my schedule to go practice the guitar. And that could be in the morning and the afternoon. My schedule shifts based on work and physical therapy and whatever else I have on my schedule. But making these time blocks in your schedule and then prioritizing those. So say I have this 1 hour of dedicated focus on studying this subject that I really care about. Well, that time block can shift in your schedule, the morning, afternoon, or evening, but that time block is fixed. So when I talk about time management, like this is what I'm talking about. Block out your priorities and set aside this time for yourself. And then that can shift wherever, but you know that in that schedule today, this week, this 1 hour is going to be dedicated to that. And I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb. I'm going to set it on the other side of the room, and I'm going to get to work on whatever it is that I'm prioritizing. And I know that sounds simple, but when's the last time you've done that? I mean, I think it's a lost art, this thing of undistracted work, because when we see it, I know at least for me in my life, when I see someone diligently working towards a goal of theirs without distractions and properly setting up their systems and managing their time, it's rare for me to see. And I think, wow, like that guy really knows what he's doing, or that girl really knows what she's doing. And that's why I feel like it's lost. It's not common. So, but it's yet oh so effective and so important when we're trying to accomplish these goals. So when we talk about time management, prioritize or schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule, if that makes sense. If you want me to elaborate, put it out. Jack, Atomic Habits. It's great and ties in with this. Yeah. Oh my gosh, love that book so much. I've read it twice now, and I'll probably read it again. That's one that's up there for me. And I don't take everything out of that book. I feel like that's for everything. You kind of scrap through what works for you and find the gold nuggets in it. And for me, the cues, like Atomic Habits for me was really important because for me, it's not hard to form new habits, but it's really hard for me to break old habits. And what that book helped me realize was the cues of falling into habits. Like as soon as you, um, what's a good example? Let's say you really like um, food that's really bad for you. Let's take potato chips. Let's say that's your weakness, and you always strive to stay away from them. Yet you always find yourself eating potato chips. Like, well, how is that happening? Maybe there's a vending machine at work, and the cue of you eating those potato chips is walking by and looking at the vending machine of where they're sold, and that's your cue. And from there you start to think about, oh man, even if you walk past it, you're like, oh man, those potato chips sound really good right now. I have a couple quarters in my pocket, I'm gonna go grab some real quick. That cue is the tipping point of all the wrong things coming into place. And so when I started to notice the cues of my bad habits in my life, like spending too much time on my phone, I started to set limits on my apps. And then also, I became aware. I brought those subconscious cues to a conscious level. And every time my phone dinged, I would, instead of picking up my phone, reading whatever the notification was, and then staying on my phone and then jumping toward these apps that are really intriguing to the eye, like Instagram or whatever it might be, I said, okay, I'm going to pick up my phone. I'm going to read the notification and I'm going to set my phone back down. The only time I try to pick up my phone now is when it's intentional. And that's why that book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, was so important to me, is because it helped me break bad habits. And I highly recommend it. So good. Um, oh, my second point, I already got to it, I guess. Um, was time blocking, setting out that scheduled hour of work throughout the week. I won't go over it. You guys get the point. If you guys want me to elaborate, I can. Um, and then there's also this method. I've never used it before, but it's called Pomodoro. It's a technique where, let's say you take an hour of time and that's what you're dedicating to your studies, but oftentimes you find yourself getting distracted or drifting or losing focus. What it does is you would typically break up an hour into three chunks of 20 minutes. And then you'd take 5-minute breaks in between those 20 minutes. And you can look it up on YouTube. I'll spell it out for you guys in the chat really quick. If you guys are trying to improve your discipline, and you often find yourself unable to focus or drifting when you are trying to focus, this is a really good technique. You can look up the Pomodoro technique on YouTube, and it will set out time chunks for you where you'll be working for 20 or 25 minutes, and then it says break time. Take a break, go outside, look on your phone, like do whatever you want to do. But when that 5-minute break is over, it's back to studying. My phone is on do not disturb and it's across the room, and I'm paying attention. And then 20 minutes pass and then you take another break. For some people, it interrupts their flow state and it can be negative for them. Well, I would recommend trying it because even if you do reach a flow state in your work, you can just turn off the timer or whatever it is that with the Pomodoro technique, you can just stop it. So if you do have issues with focusing on a specific subject that is goal oriented, try out that technique. Try time blocking, set these things out for your schedule. And I promise it's going to make a big difference in what you do. So those were the three big ones today. That was the introduction to the key methods for building discipline: goal setting, habit formation, and time management. I have one other section. It's going to be pretty quick. These are practical exercises to start building discipline. So we talked about goal setting. So these are some, practical implementations for this stuff. So each evening, this is what I do. It's not specifically this. I'll go into my actual routine, but I would recommend each evening writing down 3 specific goals you want to achieve by the end of tomorrow. This practice helps to focus your energy and attention on what matters most. It also helps to clear your mind before bed. And I threw in that last part because um, I think what time of day you do things is important. So I wouldn't recommend, unless it's the only time you have, studying hard right before bed, because oftentimes that can lead to disrupting your sleep because you're now thinking about what you were just doing. What I like to do, and maybe that's not for everybody, this is just what works for me, guys. What I really like to do is each evening when I finish up work and I'm in my office, I set out my journal and I kind of mind dump. I'm like, okay, I need to shop for this week or tomorrow or whatever it is. These are my priorities for tomorrow. These are my work priorities and my life priorities. This is what I have to get done. I write everything out so that when I go and lay down, I'm not thinking like, oh man, I got to do this tomorrow. Hey Siri, set a reminder. Like no, Siri, not now. That helps me a ton. So if you guys are looking, or if you have trouble falling asleep because your mind's always racing, one, I highly recommend the Physiological Sigh. If you haven't heard of it, it is proven to be the best way to reduce stress immediately. It's one long inhale through the nose to fully inflate your lungs, and then another sharp inhale through the nose, and then one long exhale through the mouth until lungs are empty. It reduces cortisol, norepinephrine, epinephrine in real time like that, and it calms your mind. I would recommend that, and I would also recommend journaling out all of your thoughts at the end of the day. It really helps to calm the mind. If you want to take it a step further, try meditating. You can actually use a physiological sigh as a meditation technique. Try to do it for 10 to 15 minutes while only focusing on your breath. You can do other mindfulness techniques. You guys could look up a million ways to meditate, but it's a really good way to help get your sleep right. And if you guys were there for my wellness lesson yesterday, you guys know sleep is the foundation, the pillar of wellness. It's more important than exercise and sleep, or excuse me, exercise and diet. Sleep is the pillar of the two, and we cannot function without it. So if you guys are having trouble sleeping, try to implement these tools. It's really going to help. Sorry for that little tangent. We were talking about daily goal setting and what to do before bed. So try out writing 3 specific goals you want for the next day, and then the next evening, review your goals and assess your progress. And you can celebrate the small wins. Like if you haven't exercised in a while, and you just took a 10-minute walk, like that's awesome. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. That's really cool to see the progress happen in real time. So a really good start for you guys who have not set any goals in a while is write down 3 specific goals you want to accomplish tomorrow. And you can actually scale it up too. You could say, I want 3 goals for tomorrow. That'll be much smaller. 3 goals for this week, 3 goals for this month, and 3 goals for this year. You can scale them however you want. But to start, let's try with tomorrow. Say, I'm going to drink 60 ounces of water tomorrow. Cool, that's a good goal. I'm going to walk 10 minutes after lunch tomorrow. Awesome. And then I'm going to review. One of my other goals is going to be to review my goals that I went over today. Like, cool. If you get to there, that's awesome. Like this small stuff, this habit formation really does make a big difference when it comes to distilling discipline. So habit tracking. We talked about habit formation. So this is how you're going to track your habits. So choose a habit that you want to develop and track it daily for at least 21 days. And so there's these really cool apps you can use, or habit trackers, or it could be simply a piece of paper. And you can mark down, like on a calendar, like today I walked 10 minutes, or maybe it's a 10,000 step daily goal. Just track that for 21 days. Even if you fall short of it, you will see progress. The goal is to become 1% better every day. It's not to become if your goal is to become an athlete, um, marathon runner, we're not going to be running a marathon tomorrow. It's going to be maybe a year out or longer. But those daily reflections on what you're doing is super beneficial for tracking those habits and making sure you're actually instilling them into your life. Remember, we do not rise to the goals that we set, we fall to the level of our systems. And then review your progress weekly to find any obstacles and adjust as needed. So if you guys find that you want to run a marathon, and like, let's say some of your goals is stretching, short distance and long distance runs throughout the week, and if you run into obstacles like you're starting to get sciatic nerve pain down your left leg, well, how well are you stretching? Are you stretching your piriformis? Like these things you'll start to notice when you're trying to track your goals. So I would recommend reviewing at least weekly to make sure that there's no real challenges in your way and you can just adjust as needed. So focus on the consistency of the habit rather than perfection. So like I said, if you have a 10,000 step goal for the day, if you fall to 8,000, it's okay. Tomorrow we're going to shoot for 10,000. Like the consistency is what matters. Same thing when it comes to trading. We know that to be true. It is not about the big days or the big losers. It is about consistently making small gains. And we know that to be true. And it's the same in every other habit that we're trying to form in life. And lastly, some practical implementations for time blocking. So these are the 2 points I have on it. Plan your day by blocking out time for your most important tasks. For example, dedicate the first 2 hours of your day to deep work or exercise without distractions. For me, the morning is kind of sacred for myself. It's really important to set up my day right, because otherwise, uh, if you set up a really hard goal for yourself in the morning, like say you're, all right, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do 100 burpees as soon as I roll out of bed. If you fail that goal that you set for yourself, that is really hard, you're starting the day on a failure, and that has a huge psychological impact on how you're going to do the rest of what you're doing today. So I like to start my mornings um, kind of erratic, to be honest, but they're always structured in a certain way to be able to accomplish easy things as soon as I wake up. So for me, it's to open the window, let a bunch of sun in, and I make my bed and I drink at least 16 ounces of water. That's a daily thing, no matter what. What changes sometimes is, am I going to the gym right away, or am I taking a cold shower in the morning? It depends on my physical therapy and a few other factors with work and whatnot. But setting myself up for those small wins, those habits that I can implement. I'm If I get up on time, I open the window, I make my bed, and I drink my 16 ounces of water. That's 4 wins before 10 minutes of waking. That makes a difference. And if you don't think it does, try it for yourself. And it's like I said, these small habits, these daily practices of self love is truly what is going to get you to your long term goals. Super important stuff. And my last point for time blocking practice is, at the end of the week, review how well you stuck to your time blocks and adjust your schedule to better fit your natural energy rhythms and priorities as needed. And I'll repeat that last sentence. Adjust your schedule to better fit your natural energy rhythms and priorities as needed. So, one, talking about priorities, latter part of that sentence, life gets in the way. Your time blocks will shift. That's okay. Like I was saying, as long as you say, this week, I have a 2 hour chunk of time broken into 2 sections. So I have 1 hour one day and 1 hour the other day. If I schedule it for Tuesday and Thursday, yet something pops up on Tuesday, it's okay. That goal that I have is still going to be accomplished. I'm going to just shift that time block that I've set aside, 1 hour to study or to practice or whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm just going to shift it to Wednesday morning. So this is what we were talking about when we read the quote by Stephen Covey. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So schedule these time blocks for yourself. I'm again, like I said, the two huge changes for me when it came to discipline was um, forming habits and breaking old habits. So Atomic Habits, highly recommend that book by James Clear. But also the time management is oh so important, because if I set this big long list of a schedule for myself to do today and I fall short of a couple things and all of a sudden my whole schedule is behind, uh, what am I going to do? Like, oh man, I failed today. Like, shoot, I'm going to try again tomorrow and I fail tomorrow. Like, let's, instead of prioritizing that schedule, let's schedule your priorities and say, okay, for me, I know I have to work out today. I have to cook my meals. I have to do this, that, and the other. If you set those priorities in a time block, those time blocks can shift, but you will still accomplish those goals. So I know there was a lot of words said today, but we went over three things. We went over goal setting, we went over habit formation, and we went over time management. These things, if you implement really small practices daily to improve these things, you will set yourself up for so much success. And you can apply it directly to trading. When it comes to this stuff, guys, all of it is extremely relevant to trading. Let's talk about goal setting. It's like, okay, I want to make $1,000 this week. How am I going to do that? Well, let's break it down into 5 days. Like, okay, we'll break it down into 5 days, $200 a day. Like, that's how I'm going to make $1,000. Cool. Let's break down that even further. Start to make those daily goals, your weekly goals, your monthly goals. Make sure they're SMART goals, they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And then the habit formation. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to achieve this goal by coming up with a really strong risk management strategy, and I'm going to follow that strategy no matter what the market tells me. Yeah, I'm shifting, my entries and exits, and a few other factors that I might be paying attention to, but my risk management plan for how much I'm sizing and how much I'm risking and what the risk to reward ratio I'm going for, that's staying true. So form that habit of self discipline. And then time management. If you are lacking, if you're trying to study ICT more, it's like, okay, I'm not going to schedule ICT every single day at 30 minutes a day for exactly 12:30 p.m. Life's going to get in the way. You're going to fall short and you're going to be like, oh man, I'm failing. And you're inevitably going to quit on that goal. But if you say 30 minutes a day, that is what it is. You have that time block for yourself. Now that time block can shift. Like, okay, I'm going to plan for doing it after lunch. Shoot, I missed it. Okay, no worries. I'm going to do it just 30 minutes before bed. And maybe I only get 10 minutes in today. That's okay. Still accomplish that goal. Like, that small consistency is what we should be focusing on, not the perfection. This is how we build and sustain our systems to achieve our long term goals. This is the important stuff that we're talking about, guys. So, I mean, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully, I didn't bore you guys too much. This stuff's important. I mean, and all these are recorded. Unfortunately, I recorded this one a little bit after we started today, but all these sessions are recorded. I post them on the Discord. I post them in my YouTube. If you guys are missing this stuff and you guys want to improve your psychology, want to improve your risk management, maybe you just need a refresher. Go watch these videos. Put on, if I were you, if I missed one, put it on 2 times speed. Just listen through really quickly. When you hear a point that is relevant to you and you can really take something out of it, slow it down, rewind. Oh, cool. You know what? I'm really going to sit down and make some SMART goals for myself at the end of the week, at the end of the day. And then just put it back to 2 times speed and let it run. Like, this stuff matters. And if you truly are trying to optimize your life and your trading, like, these are the reasons we're doing it. And I'm passionate about it. And hopefully you guys are too, because otherwise we're just floating through life, kind of winging it as we go. That sounded weird. We're all winging it as we go. This is all of our first times around. But what I mean is, are you finding fulfillment in what you're doing? Are you striving after true goals that matter to you and your community? Or are you really just focusing on these small dopamine hits, like a little mouse in a mouse maze chasing the cheese? I mean, that's how I feel like when I spend too much time on my phone. Guys, I'm not speaking from a pedestal here. Like, this is a daily practice for me too. That's a big one for me, is when I end up and I have to work, I have to use social media for work. And then I find myself just scrolling for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, I'm like a mouse chasing after cheese. I was like, this is not the fulfilling long term goals that I want to accomplish. So I'm speaking from a lot of science backed points that I got for you guys. And I'm also speaking from personal experience. So hopefully um, these lessons are helping you. And I encourage you guys to get better every day, 1% better every single day. So I appreciate you all. I love you all. Hopefully, you guys have time blocked today to get yourself into the gym or at least do at least some body weight resistance movement, or maybe it's cardio. Do whatever you need to do. Reach for that organic option in the grocery store. Don't go get fast food today if you can help it. Drink water. Tell your loved ones that you love them, man. We do not have, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We don't have all the time in the world, though we may think it. We need to humble ourselves and say, every single breath that we take is the blessing. And I should share the meaningful things that I appreciate with my loved ones by telling them you love them. This stuff matters, folks. Alrighty. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.